Hello and welcome to FinextraTV. I'm Alex Lippic and you join us at the Communify Fincentric Experience. And kindly joining me here in the studio today is Shachar Kariv of Capital Preferences. Shachar, what an absolute pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us. I know you've recently kind of joined us at the event. How have you found it so far?
I've just been here since this morning, but it's really wonderful. You know, I'm the co-founder of Capital Preferences, which is a research company, but my full-time job, I'm a professor at the University of California, Berkeley. So I'm a game theorist and a decision theorist by training. And you know, economics is about improving people's well-being. It's not about setting the interest rate. You are hoping that by setting the interest rate correctly, you'll improve the well-being of all Americans. Now, financial well-being became a larger and larger part of overall well-being. So the way that I see this conference is with the help of technology and personalization to bring everything that we know in research into improving well-beings. This is basically the channel with which we can do it.
Well, I wanted to ask you about behavioral science. How do you combine behavioral science into economics and finance effectively?
That's really a great question because, to be honest, behavioral science sounds a little bit like a contradiction. Chemistry is a science. Biology is a science. What do we even mean by behavioral science? I think that this challenge, behavioral science, what does it even mean? This is what makes my job so interesting. Look, maybe one day I can put you in an MRI machine, scan your brain, and I will know how risk averse you are, and I will know in what you need to invest. Meaning, usually we think about science as something that there is hardware, microscopes, you know, laboratories, things like this. We don't have it. So I think that when we talk about behavioral science, we talk about the integration of writing parsimonious models. This we can do. We can use mathematics, like in chemistry, like in physics, to write parsimonious models. But science is not just writing parsimonious models, it's also to take these parsimonious models and falsify them with data. Data in chemistry and physics comes from laboratories. We don't have laboratories. So this combination of behavioral science is keeping true to writing parsimonious models using mathematics on one hand, and on the other hand, developing alternative methods that sometimes I call them softwares, not hardware, to actually come with data to do this together.
How interesting, yeah.
Now, it has been for me, you know, this has been my journey at Berkeley for 20 years. And when I think about behavioral science, I'm basically thinking about three aspects. I now, the behavioral scientist, I want to understand you. No.
So it won't
hurt. It won't hurt.
Right,
Don't worry.
Here we go.
It won't hurt. Okay, give me your finger. I'll blood test now.
We'll do it after we cut.
Yes. Okay. So
really interesting, though. Yeah.
So let me say, I'm the behavioral scientist. I want to learn something about you. What do I want to learn? I think a lot of the problems that we have is that if we don't have well-defined questions, we cannot have well-defined answers. Many problems in the world that we don't have answer to is because we actually couldn't ask the question in a well-defined way. So let me try to make the question well-defined. I'm the behavioral scientist. I don't know, call me a scientist. I'm the behavioral voodoo here.
You're certainly coming across as one, and it's really interesting and fascinating how you talk about combining those different elements as well. Sort of, you know, picking them from different parts of, like you mentioned, data and bringing them all together to find that solution. How would you differentiate between the regular predictive perception of economics versus the behavioral one? Let's try that for a question.
Okay, that's a great question. Let me first say that the economics department at Berkeley, where I lived for the last 20 years, we live in the same building as mathematics and statistics. So it tells you a lot, how do we actually think about this? And across the street, it's physics and chemistry. So I would never call myself a hard scientist. You know, I need to take myself with a grain of salt. However, the way that I think about it is as follows. I write economic models for two reasons. The first reason that I write economic models is to write a normative model. This is how an investor should behave. I'm not saying that investors in the real world are behaving this way. Then I also write models that are descriptive models. These are models that are actually, I'm trying to write a description of how people actually behave. One models, which are the normative models, sometimes people just call it standard economics. This is how we should behave if we were what I call Homo economicus. This is like this fictional decision makers that knows everything. But of course, we are not like this. So I'm also writing models that are in behavioral economics that are more descriptive models. And here comes, why am I doing these two ends of the extreme? Because I want to bridge them. And I think this conference, for me as a scientist, is all about providing methods for us to actually bridge the normative models or the normative behavior with how people actually behave. Sometimes I'm calling it giving prescriptions to market participants. You know, when you want to actually lose weight, what do? Or you want to basically be a better fit. You go to a personal trainer. The personal trainer has the normative model, but you know, you will never exercise or eat or diet according to the normative model. I
certainly wouldn't know, yeah.
You know, the normative model is that you should go to the gym, you should eat the salad. The descriptive model of how you live is that you are actually sitting in front of the TV, watching reality show and eating potato chips.
You know the story of my life. Have you been watching it?
I've been.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. It's really interesting.
So this is the way that we are trying to bridge it.
Yeah, really fascinating. You talk about bridging those two models together, and I love the energy and the passion as well when you talk about these topics. So
thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a
My
privilege
pleasure.
speaking to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being with us.
Having me.